Up on the screen, I have two different statements of cash flows from different companies. On the left, I have CVS, and on the right, I have Target. And I want to compare these two. Let's look at CVS's first, and we're specifically looking at the operating section of their statement of cash flows. So this section right up here. All right, and for Target, it's right there. So that's what we're looking at. Let's look at CVS. And right now, if I asked you the question, how much did they get from their customers? That question is pretty easy to answer. It's that first line. It says cash receipts from customers, $389,000. Or if I asked you how much did they pay their employees? I can look at this line. I know this includes payments to suppliers as well, but it includes their employees. And so I can say, well, it's $37,000. Pretty easy to find that. How much cash did they pay for income taxes? Well, that's $2,000. I know this is in millions, so that's $2 billion, but or how much did they pay in interest? All of these questions are very easy to answer. Let's try to answer the same questions using Target's statement of cash flows. Let's look at Target's and ask, how much did Target get from their customers? And I'm looking down that list, and I am not seeing anything that tells me how much they got from their customers. How much did they pay their employees? I don't see that either. Or how much did they pay for income taxes? Well, I see something called deferred income taxes. Is that the same thing? No, it's not. So all of these basic questions that I might have about day-to-day operations at Target, I can't answer because the lines or the method that Target used is very different than the method that CVS used to put together the statement of cash flows. The method that Target used is called the indirect method. And CVS uses the direct method. The direct method is encouraged by accounting standards because it is very easy for investors to read. We can easily answer questions like how much cash did we get from customers or how much did we pay our suppliers. Very easy to find the answers to those questions. The indirect method, we cannot answer basically any of those questions. Really, the only number that has any meaning whatsoever is this last number. All of these other numbers, as we'll see when we learn to put this together, they have very little meaning to an investor. And so this is really the only number that means anything. And so that's the total. How much did we get from our day-to-day operations? And it's just a total number. Using the direct method or the indirect method is going to get us the same total. It's just, can we find the details that we want? All right, so if accounting standards encourage companies to use the direct method, again, because it's easier for investors, we would think that most companies use the direct method because it's encouraged. In fact, it's not. 98% of companies use the indirect method, and only 2% use the direct method. Why would that be if the direct method is encouraged? There must be something else going on. And what's probably going through your mind is, well, these companies must be trying to hide something. And that's not it, really. It's that the indirect method is easier. The direct method is actually very difficult to put together. You have to first do the indirect method, then do a lot of other calculations to get the numbers for cash receipts from customers and do all of those different lines. So it's very difficult to do, which is why only 2% of companies take that route. And 98% of companies do the easier method, even though there's not as much good information for the investors using it. So what we're going to do in this class, even though it looks confusing at first, we are going to learn the indirect method. We are not going to do the direct method. There is an appendix in the chapter that goes over the direct method, but we're not covering it. That's if you're an accounting major, we'll cover that in a future class because it is confusing. So we're just going to do the, even though it looks confusing, it's not as confusing as it looks, indirect method. And so we'll look at that in the next video.